And what did the zombie say when asked what his favorite board game was? Trains! Trains! Okay, I didn't spend much time preparing this one because it's imperative that I make it as soon as possible. I'm having company tomorrow, and you will soon see why. Ticket to Ride. If you are going to have a game, this is the one. If you have Monopoly and somebody comes over and wants to play it, chunk it away. You need Ticket to Ride. The game is awesome. I'm not even going to worry about trying to design my own game because I can absolutely not beat this one. When I opened it, I couldn't find the instructions because the instructions was just this sheet of plastic paper. And I thought, well, this is going to be very simple. And I want to see what you think. I'm going to show you the basics of the game and then tell you why whatever you think is wrong. The game is very simple. You're off to score points. There's up to 5 players. And you each have a small token and you move it around the board. Average score is around 125 to about 170. I guess it depends on how many people you play with. The way you score points is by tickets, hence the name of the game. When you connect cities, the further apart they are, the more points they're worth. For instance, this one is like Kansas City to Houston, 5 points, and Vancouver to Montreal, 20 points. If you do not connect the cities by your trains, by the end of the game you lose the points on the ticket. And once you draw the tickets, you can't get rid of them. Connecting cities, you draw cars. Trains, cabooses, and coal cars, things like this. Once you get enough cards, if you get 2 of a kind, for instance 2 black cards, you can take a route. You can claim a route. For instance, you would need 6 black cards to fill this one, 6 green. You only need 1 card of any color to fill this one. Simple as that. Once you own it, nobody else can own it. And there are points on the board for the length of the track. For instance, this would give you 2 points. If I was to have 6 black and I could play it, I would get 15 points for this. So it's usually worth more to take the long routes. So after you get points for taking the routes and you make your tickets, you get the points for those or you lose them. And at the end of the game, whoever who has the longest continuous route gets an extra 10 points. Sometimes it makes a difference. During your turn, you have 3 options. You can draw 2 cards from this deck, from the 5 face-up cards. There are always 5. If you take one, another will take its place. Or you can draw from one or the other. Always 2 cards. Unless it is a wild card, which is of course the engine. And if you pick that up from the board, then that counts as your 2 cards. Because, of course, they're very valuable. The second thing you can do is to draw 3 tickets. You have to keep at least 1. You can keep all 3. Normally, when you're getting low on the original 3 tickets that you were dealt, you don't have to keep all 3. You can get rid of 1 at the beginning of the game. Then you will probably want to draw some replacement tickets. When I first started playing the game, I didn't know to do that. But later, I was so ticket crazy, I just keep drawing tickets. One time I filled 9 tickets. I believe, 175 points. And apart from those 2 options, you can also play your cards. After you have drawn enough and you have, say, 4 black cards, you can claim a route with your cards that you have. I always play the red. Maybe that's why I'm so good at the game. Yes, I love the red trains. There are also different players. A lot of people get confused because of the red cards. They think they need to only play on the red routes or something. confusing point, but no, you can play the red card on the blue routes. It always has to be all three routes, all three spaces along the route if it's three. Plus, they all have to be the same color. So, for instance, the three blues, I would need three of the blue cards. Or a wild. You can take a wild as place of that. The game ends when one player has two or fewer of his cards left. And that is pretty much the game. Draw cards, and once you get enough to match, then you spin them by discarding them on the table, and then you can claim the routes. Then you get points for it. Whoever has the most points wins. Yes, it seems very easy. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of strategy, but there are a few things to consider. For instance, you take a couple of short cards, which, of course, you can fulfill easy. I can take a green and fulfill here, or two black and take this. It's real easy to take these short routes. Or do I wait and draw plenty of cards so I can take the long routes, since they'll give me more points? Plus, you can only take one route turn. So if I want to take Dallas to Houston, one card, I get 1 point, and it takes one of my turns. Or I can go from Houston to El Paso, and it takes one turn, and I get 15 points. But of course, it takes a lot longer to get all the greens. Another thing to do is that if you think somebody is going to, for instance, Vancouver to Montreal, well, you can spend 3 cards here and 3 cards here, and you can block off Vancouver for him. Therefore, he will lose, your opponent will lose the 20 points at the end of the game. So if they start going across, and you know that they're in Calgary, you know they're going to go to Montreal. So when you're playing with somebody, you try not to make it too obvious, especially if it's a big point ticket like that, of where the two cities are you trying to connect. And yeah, there are quite a number of ticket cards, but still, there's once you've played the game enough, you pretty much know, you probably know where the person's trying to go. There are also double tracks, for instance, Dallas to Oklahoma City. If you're playing with 4 or more people, 4 or 5 players, then you can take both. So for instance, the yellow player can take this, and the red player can take this. So you can both own it. But if you're playing with 3 or fewer, then if the yellow player takes that, then the other one is closed off to everybody else. So there is the blocking strategy. How you want to score the points, you can obviously take just the long routes. Take all the 6s. There's a 6, there's a 6, there's a 6, there's a 6, there's a 6. You take all those to get the 15 points because they're worth more, and just completely forget about the tickets. Once you make your tickets, just go for the long routes. So there's lots of different scoring options for the game. I don't know which one's my favorite. I think the tickets, trying to make them, it's not too cutthroat unless it's just fun to block somebody. You know, they work so hard to make a long route. And that is pretty much the game. And no, it doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me, this is the game to have. I've played it 14 times so far. I have won every single time. Well, technically I lost once, but we made a proactive rule. You can't say to somebody, oh, and by the way, that was your last turn. When you're down to 2 or fewer cards, it's an unsaid, unwritten rule that you have to inform everybody that everybody has 1 turn and then the game is going to end. So, there are some discussions on message boards and things, and that's pretty much the consensus anyway. No, there's no keeping your cards hidden and say, ha, I won out, or ran out of cards last turn, so the game was already over and nobody gets any more turns. No, not allowed to do that. Unless you're playing really cutthroat. So you have to count the cards on the board. I don't know. But incredibly fun game, and I've got company coming over tomorrow that is going to play me in this. Hopefully he won't win, so I can make it to 15 wins in a row. I've never lost. But, you know, once I lose, then I guess the game will be fun again, because now I am furiously trying to win everything, deeply focused on the game, because I cannot lose now. I have come this far. So if you see this game, I highly recommend you buy it. It's good for kids. It's good for people that play a lot of strategy games. because there's still some thinking in it. So for the adults and the kids, I don't think either is going to get bored. I guess that's pretty much it. So back to the music. And I've yet to figure out what is the optimal, how many points can you possibly make in the optimal game. No, that'll be for some other time. And there you have it. Ticket to Ride.